Welcome to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. If you're on a mission to be more frugal with both your time and money, you're in the right place. In this podcast, we talk about topics that help enhance living a frugal lifestyle. The goal is to save time and money where we can so that we can use the rest on what matters most to us. We talk a lot about both time and money management so that we can waste as little as possible on both. We do this while also embracing a progress over perfection mindset. If that sounds good to you, then please stick around for the latest episode right after a few quick words from our sponsor. Hi everyone, welcome back to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. So quick life update. Right now, the big focus for me is on prom, graduation, college class registration. Lots of changes coming up for my youngest daughter in this next month and a half. So it's a pretty crazy and exciting time. The prom really stresses me out a little bit with all the different forms and fees and table arrangements and all that kind of stuff. I keep worrying we're going to miss something that's required, but I think we're all good. So we're gearing up for all of these big things coming for that. As far as something I'm loving right now, I am loving our new hummingbird feeder. I had just seen our first hummingbird when we first put it up like a week ago, and then we keep seeing one around the same time every night, so it's been really fun. If you're interested in getting one, I learned that it's really important to clean them at least once a week in the spring, and then sometimes they said you might need to clean them like twice a week in the summer. So it's kind of a lot of work to keep. Well, it's not a lot of work to keep them clean. It's just something you have to stay on top of. But if that sounds like something that you might like, it's really fun. We got some hummingbirds like really pretty quickly. I think you're supposed to put them up pretty early in the season. That way, as they're like migrating back to your area, depending on where you live, then they'll kind of find it and then they'll keep coming to it. And then making the sugar water is like super easy to make. You just mix like 1 part of sugar to 4 parts of water and you just stir it till it dissolves and that's it. So you just pour it into the feeder. You don't have to buy like special hummingbird water or anything like that. You just make the sugar water and put it in. So that's like super, super easy. As far as reading right now, when I wrote my notes for this, I was currently listening to The Inmate by Freida McFadden, but I wound up finishing that. If you're not familiar with Freida McFadden, she writes psychological thrillers. That book was about a nurse who goes to work at a prison where her high school boyfriend is a prisoner as a result of being convicted of attempting to murder her. And then, like all her books, there's like a twist at the end. So I liked it. I like her books. And so that one's done. I actually just started another one of hers called The Coworker, but I'm only about maybe, I don't know, 2/3 into it. So I will tell you what that one was like once I finish reading that. And I'm still reading Marilla of Green Gables. I'm getting close. I just really didn't have a lot of time to read that this week. So I'm still working on that. And then for books on hold, last week I kind of gave you a list of all the books that I have on hold, but I thought what I would do instead for this section of the podcast is give you one book that's on hold and kind of give you a little description of it in case that way, maybe if it's something it sounds like you might like, at least maybe you find a book that you might want to put on hold or get from your library or whatever. So the one that I thought sounded really great that I just happened to come across by accident when I was looking for something else is called My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. It's by Frederick Bachman. I've read a few of his other books and I liked them, so this book sounds interesting. It says, when Elsa's grandmother passes away, she leaves behind a series of letters. These letters are apologies to people she has wronged throughout her life. Following her grandmother's instructions, Elsa embarks on an adventure that leads her to an apartment building filled with eccentric characters, drunks, monsters, attack dogs, and old crones. Along the way, she discovers the truth about fairy tales, kingdoms, and her extraordinary grandmother. So I thought that sounded like kind of an interesting book, and I have liked his others, so that one I have on hold, and amongst many others, but I just wanted to share that one with you. As far as my favorite meal this week I made a Cobb salad for the first time this season. I started making them last summer when it was like, grill season. I really like making this meal because it's so easy to just put out all the ingredients and then everyone can make their own salad. I put out romaine lettuce, croutons, chopped hard-boiled eggs, bacon pieces, chopped avocado, and then I just throw some grilled chicken on the grill and just put everything out, and everyone can kind of just make the salad how they like it. And what worked out really great this week with this meal is that I had made hard-boiled eggs over the weekend, so I was able to chop some of them up and have that part ready ahead of time for the salad. And then on my lunch break that day, I cooked up the bacon and I had that ready. So all I really had to do when dinner time came was just put out the salad, the bacon, the eggs, and some dressings and croutons, chop up the avocado, grill the chicken quickly, and then that was ready. So it was really easy. It tasted really great, and I just that's something that I really like making in the summer, especially because I could just throw the chicken on the grill real quick. So that was my favorite meal this past week. Some things I'm trying right now. I recently got an e-bike and it's really been so much fun so far. This summer we plan to do a lot of bike riding. I was a little nervous at first about getting one because even though I ride horses, which you would think would be a little more intimidating, I've always been a little bit nervous bike riding. Although the bike itself was kind of on the expensive side, each time we go for a ride, it's a fun, free day out. So if you enjoy being outside and want to get a little bit of exercise without killing yourself, this might be a great way to do it because you can really have a really nice long bike ride without having to have it be strenuous while still getting exercise, but it can just be nice. It's not like you have to like really push yourself super hard. So lots of people, all ages, are starting to ride more with these bikes. So if you search, if it sounds like something you're interested in, you could search for like YouTube videos to see more about them. Um, but we found so many nice bike paths to ride on. And especially if you search for rails to trails, you'll definitely find some really nice bike paths. These are like old train tracks that have been converted into bike paths, and most of them are like paved or at least gravel. And you go through some really nice scenery, so they're really nice to ride on. And there's not like a whole lot of ups and downs, they're relatively flat. So that's just something that I just recently got into. So just sharing that with you in case that might be something that you might like to look more into. As far as just like an update on what I'm struggling with cleaning right now, I've been trying to find a better way to clean our main bathroom that doesn't seem like it's so much work. But the more I've been thinking about it, I think that what I really want is to find a way to not have to clean the bathroom at all. I don't mind cleaning the main part of the bathroom. It's the shower and the tub that are such a pain. So, especially because my daughters have so many products in there that I have to remove first. So, I think that I just have to accept that that bathroom is just going to be a little bit of a pain to get done, but it really doesn't take that long. And I just need to do what I've been doing and stop trying to think about there being a better way. Although, as I say that, I have decided to try to break up the tub and the walls into separate steps and just kind of try and do those independently because I can clean the tub area without having to move much of their stuff. And then at least get that done maybe on one day. And then on another day, I could do the wall separately so that it's not like so much work. I think it's just that it's a lot of like physical work and like bending and reaching. And it's just kind of, even though I do have like a scrubber, like a battery operated like scrub brush type thing, but it's still kind of physically difficult to do. So I'm trying to at least maybe break up the work into different days so I can just kind of like not have so much to do at once. So we'll see how that goes. So anyway, frugal type area topic that we're going to talk about today is garage sales and flea markets. So I received a request to talk a little bit about garage sales and flea markets. And this is the season. So if you're looking for some good deals, don't forget to find out who has yard sales going on and go check them out if that's something that you enjoy doing. And if you haven't done it before, maybe give it a try because it's fun just to get outside even if you don't wind up buying stuff, it's just like something to do that doesn't cost anything unless you buy something. But many people put up signs in advance of their upcoming yard sales, so be sure to keep a lookout for those. And you can also find out about them both on websites that are dedicated to posting information about yard sales and also on social media. There's also apps for your phone that can help you locate them. I know my husband and son were going to go out one day, and my son downloaded an app on his phone, and they were able to hit like 3 or 4 yard sales in a row just by looking where they were located. So you can often get an idea of the types of items that are being sold at a yard sale if you're looking at an online ad. So maybe you can avoid going to ones that aren't selling the type of things that you might be interested in. But once you do arrive at the sale, just keep in mind that no matter how good a deal seems, if it's not something that you're going to really use or enjoy, it's not worth buying. So really try to be cautious of letting yourself get caught up with impulse spending. Seeing something that's a great deal can sometimes make us want to grab something, even though in reality we really don't need it, don't really want it, and we'll end up storing it in a corner somewhere. So if you do feel like you're someone that struggles with impulse spending, then that might not be the best place to go. But if you feel like you're pretty in control and can kind of stop and make yourself think, like, is this something I really want, and kind of avoid that impulse purchase, then you can definitely find some really good deals at yard sales, flea markets, whatever they get called. But what you definitely want to do though is arrive early when you go to a yard sale. There are many people that do this as a hobby, and they'll be scoping out the sales as soon as they begin. So if you want the best chance to get something that's a good deal and is good quality item that you really want to have, you should get there early before others get to go through it and get it for themselves. Bring cash and multiple denominations of cash. If you do end up finding something that you want, it just makes the transaction easier to have the exact change to make your purchase. And if you think you want something but you're not totally sure, a tip is to just pick it up and carry it with you while you shop. Because if you're interested in it, it's likely that others are going to be interested in it too. And if you put it down too soon, someone else might grab it. So until you decide for sure you don't want it, just hang on to it. And don't be afraid to make an offer. Some sellers really aren't sure about what an item should be sold for, so they might just pick a price that they think might be okay, but they're not really too firm about it. So if you see something that you'd really like to have, but you feel like the price is just a little bit too high, make an offer. A lot of times people will they just want to see something go. They want to see someone have something that will use it. And getting a little cash for it is a bonus. So if you see something, you really think it's something that you'd really benefit from, but the price is a little bit more than you want to pay, then just make an offer. And then if they say no, they say no. You just don't get it, or you say, maybe you're willing to pay a little bit more for it. So, also if you're really good at spotting items for resale and you will actually resell those items, this can potentially be a good way to make a little bit of extra money too. It's not always easy to find items specific to something that you're familiar enough with, though, to know the resale value. But if you're maybe a collector or you know certain things to look for that you might be able to resell for some money, that could also be an option for you too. But again, you don't want to buy things that are just going to sit there because you think you might sell them one day. You really have to be committed to reselling them quickly so you don't wind up with a lot of clutter. And like I said, even if you don't end up buying anything, garage sales, flea markets, that type of shopping can just be a fun way to get outside and get some fresh air and have something fun to do. It's just kind of like browsing at stores. It's the same kind of thing, but it's outside, so it's kind of nice to just get out. Also, kind of similar related to garage sales and flea markets, I wanted to talk a little bit about Goodwill shopping. So last week, one of my daughters asked to go to our local Goodwill store to look for a light jacket. And she did find one while we were there, but I'm the one that really found some great stuff. I hadn't planned on buying anything for myself that day, but while I was walking around checking out what they had, I found a really nice spring jacket, two summer shirts, a summer dress, one light sweater, and a pair of really nice capris. So the cost of my items plus what my daughter got was $84 for all those clothes. And they were all really good clothes, really good condition, nice brands, like good quality. And I don't always think to go to Goodwill, but I definitely have had some luck there, like I did this time. Um, Everything I purchased, I really loved. I think that's the key to having success and feeling good about thrift store purchases. You have to really be picky because you don't want to walk out with a bunch of stuff that you're just like, I don't, you kind of thought was okay and it's cheap. So you're like, well, it's a really good deal and it's not bad. I'll probably wear this. No, you really want to try and get things that you're really going to love. I try to be really picky about the items I choose. It's got to be something that's good quality and really good condition, easily washable, fits nice, and it's got to be something that I know that I'll love to wear on a regular basis. because that's when you get that feeling like you got a really good deal. If you just come out with a bunch of random stuff that you're going to wind up having to donate back to charity again because you're not wearing, it's just not worth it. So be committed to just really take your time and find something that you really, really love. And sometimes you can get really lucky because there can be a really wide range of clothing options in there. It's not going to be just what is in fashion right now. It's going to be, things that people have had over time, and sometimes they're really, really nice items that, people just never wound up wearing because maybe it didn't fit them right or they didn't like how it felt. And maybe it's something that you really like. So you can get something really good. And there's so many different styles to choose from because you're not locked into just what is in the stores right now. So if you haven't done Goodwill shopping, I definitely suggest giving it a try, but you definitely need a little time and patience because you really do have to sort through stuff to find those things that you might just really love. And then just a couple other miscellaneous things before we wrap up here today. I just wanted to share, I was watching a gardening YouTube video and I heard what could potentially be a really good tip, although I have not actually done this yet for myself. But the video suggested visiting garden centers at various times over the summer or over the year, depending on where you live, to see what's in bloom at that time. And they had noted that obviously the garden centers sell what's blooming at the current time. So if you go at various times during the season, you will likely get a variety of plants that are going to bloom throughout the season. And I thought that was a really great idea, especially if you're trying to do something like a perennial garden and want to have blooms at different times over the season by kind of building it over time by going to the garden center to see what's in bloom at that time at various times during the year. That can really be helpful in creating a garden that's going to have something different blooming throughout the season. I also just wanted to share a recipe for natural weed killer if you have any areas that you need to spray. It shouldn't be used around any plants that you actually want to keep. It's more for like paver or driveway areas where weeds might start to come up. You just need a sprayer to put the mixture in, and the recipe is for 1 or 2 cups of salt. I use 1 cup, but the recipe does call for 2. One seems to work fine for me. And then you use 1 gallon of white vinegar, about 1/4 cup of dish soap, and you just mix it all together and spray on any weeds that you need to kill. It's best to do it in the morning of a day that's going to be nice and sunny out because that helps the mixture kill the weeds. The sun kind of like burns it, the mixture onto the weed, and it just helps them die quicker. But we've been doing this every year for a while now, and it really works great. I buy the concentrated vinegar on Amazon and then water it down to make the mixture, and that makes it a little bit less expensive because you can kind of stretch the vinegar for a little longer. But again, you don't want to spray it on anything that you want to live. It's more for like those like pavers and driveway areas where you just want to kind of kill anything that grows. And then just one other quick thing. I think I shared with you guys that I got a magnetic whiteboard for my fridge. I really like having it there. It's a great place to write a note on the fridge about what leftovers might be in there that people might forget about that you want them to get eaten up. But what was really funny was that I had a note on the fridge and it said like food in the fridge, and then there was like 2 little dots that I could like fill in what was in the fridge for people to eat. And one of my daughters wrote in big capital letters underneath where it said food in the fridge, she wrote in nothing. And I just thought that was funny because it's so typical. If any of you have like teenagers or preteens or whatever, the fridge could be completely filled with food and they'll still say there's nothing in there. So I just thought it was funny that she wrote nothing on that whiteboard where I'm supposed to fill in what foods are in there for everybody to eat. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you're liking this new format. Again, don't forget if you're looking for more in-depth on frugal topics and time management, whether that's time or money, I have a whole catalog you can go back and listen to. And now we're just going to keep it a little more casual, at least for now. Still talking about frugal and time management topics, just not as much in depth so that I can kind of cover a variety of things in each episode. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you back here next week. So thank you for checking in for this podcast episode. And don't forget, you can always email me with any questions or suggestions at lolasfrugallife@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Lola's Frugal Life. And you can find a blog post for most of my episodes, and definitely all of my meal plan episodes, at lolasfrugallife.com. You can also join our private listeners group at facebook.com/groups/lolasfrugallife. And if you enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen from. And I would love it if you would screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram so I could see you're listening. Also, if you can please take a couple of seconds to rate and review the podcast. Those ratings and reviews are what help the show come up better in search results so that other people can find this podcast. So that will really help me in growing my audience. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have an awesome day.